Hi. Wow. Hi. Let me arrange my phone. Just a minute. Hi, guys. How are you? Before we start, please let me know the ages of your kids and where are you from? Thank you for inviting me, Hadar. I'm trying to arrange my phone. All right. Eight and 9, California. They're 8 and 9 already. Wow. Time moves fast. I see all the attendees. So please share. I'm waiting to know the ages of your kids so I can talk about the specific ages of your children so it will be relevant for you. 8, 5, 2.5. Great. Hi. 4 and 8, 5 and 7, 8. Thank you for sharing. And so far, these are the specific ages we're going to talk about. 12 and 15. Oh, wow. We have some teenagers here. So you'll be happy to hear that the methods and the knowledge that I'm going to share are relevant at any age, even though I like working with parents who have kids up to the age of 10. I think it's easier because they're younger, so the patterns that you already have can be changed more easily. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. If you want to share more, I'm reading everything. I can do everything simultaneously. I'll start by telling you a little bit about myself. So my name is Ifat, and I'm from Israel. This is why I have an Israeli accent. I'll try to speak slowly so you can understand me. If something is not clear or if something is you want to hear it again or you want me to get more to provide more details about something that I said, please write it down. I read everything. We have so much to cover today and I think it's mind-blowing. It blew my mind when I first learned about the things that I'm going to share with you. So I have 2 kids. Tamar is 13 and Barak is 10. I'm married to a great man. And professionally, I was a lawyer. And I dealt with women's rights in the workplace. This is what I want to use the legal system for, to advance rights. And then I found myself, actually I applied for Berkeley to do the master's in law. And I got accepted and I moved my family along with me and I did my master's in law. And then I fell in love with the academia. And I've decided that I want to pursue and have a PhD in law. And when I thought about the research and what I want to deal with, I've decided that I want to deal and I want to research fathers. After years of feminism and dealing with women's rights, I came across this research about masculinities, and I chose to write about fathers' challenges in combining work and family. And it was way prior to COVID. Now it's so relevant. It was relevant then as well. And what it helped me to develop compassion towards my partner. Really, it was worth it. And then we moved back to Israel, and I taught in every university I could, and I planned on opening a center for work-family balance. We didn't have one. We don't have one in Israel, and life was great. And you know what happens when you have plans? Sometimes life has other plans for you. So when my daughter was 6 and my son was 3, I attended a parenting group, not for me, for a friend of mine who had problems with her children. And I came with her as a good friend. And I think it was during the middle of the sessions. We had 10 sessions. And at the 5th session, something happened to me. I realized how little did I know about parenting, about communicating with kids, with my kids, about communication in general. And it was so powerful that I decided to change my profession. I loved my profession, but you know, the whole parenting thing, and it was stronger. It was so powerful that I did what I felt, you know, it was a calling, and I went to a parenting school, and I have my diploma. And then we moved back to California, this time because of my husband's work. And this is where I opened my business. And where I opened my parenting coaching business, I worked with parents, but at a certain point, I've decided to focus on fathers. First, because I feel that I understand them, and I understand their challenges because of the years I did the research about men and fathers, and also because I don't think they have many places to go to consult, to ask questions, to get some guidance. And I really love working with fathers. They're so practical, like me. And when they come to me, they are willing to work. Otherwise, they don't come, of course. They're willing to work, and they put all the methods into action, and they see results, because you see results pretty fast. And then, you know, they are like, oh my God, this is so good. And this is basically so good. And what I want to share with you today is part of my research. I'm doing a research about emotional intelligence, and I tell you how it all tied together. And first, thank you, Adar, for inviting me, and thank you all for coming. We have 42 parents who took the time to come. So please, I can't see you, but I trust you. Please give yourself some pat on the back, because you're amazing just for coming, all right? Just for being here, just for listening to me, just for developing, putting aside things and just be here and take the time to listen to what we're going to talk today. So we have a plan, and I want to share with you that I'm excited, as you can see. And I think it's the first time that I'm doing a lecture without any slides. I'm so used to Zoom and slides and everything. And this is the first time that I'm doing it without slides. But I think we're going to be fine. So the plan for today, I'm going to talk about the meaning and components of emotional intelligence, because it's such a huge term, and we need to be more specific. And I'm going to show you why it is so important for your life and for your kids' life. And what I want to share with you is some, as I said, mind-blowing things about the brain, because this is where everything happens, right? The brain. And no one really taught us about brain development, about what's going on in our brains when we lose it, when we're happy. And we'll talk about it. And also, I want to give you some ideas about how you can develop your own and your child's emotional intelligence. We can say EQ, we can say EI. Whenever I say these words, you understand. And I want to say that today specifically, I'm going to talk about us, parents. Well, I have a book that I published. It's a bestseller on Amazon, Parenting, a Comedy of Errors Filled with Good Intentions, because this is what it is. And we better laugh because it's funny. And I have this book and I have courses and in every place I talk about our difficulties and basically how we need to change our behavior and shift the behavior and change our mindset, because when we do it, change will happen. Our kids will behave accordingly. But every place I talk about how we can educate kids and also educate ourselves. But the more I work and meet parents and do the research myself, I really realize, that it's our job. And at that point, I hope you're still with me and you didn't leave, because it's difficult to hear that, we're the one to take responsibility. But the cool thing is that when you change, and I'm not talking about huge change, sometimes it can be so subtle, but so profound. When you change, your kids change. And, we don't need to talk. We educate by talking, which is a mistake. We just need to model. I call myself a leader. I'm a leader. I'm the leader of my kids. And a leader doesn't lead with yelling, with threats, with punishments. I lead with modeling. And I need to work so hard on myself, which this is what I do. And I need to learn and I need to develop and I need to do all these, things in order to be the one that they want to imitate. Because whether we like it or not, our kids imitate us, for better or for good, or for better or for worse. So if I want them to have good habits and good behavior, I need to show them how it's done. All right. So I want to ask you something. Do you know these people that they're very smart? They have diplomas from prestigious universities. They have high IQs, but you cannot have a decent conversation with them, not to mention talk to them about sensitive issues, emotions, relationships. If you do know these people, write 1. If you don't, write 2. And I'll drink while you write. Thank you. Oh, Ken, you're very lucky. All right, so this is just a small example of what I want to start with. So for years, it wasn't clear what differentiates between people who are, have, let's say, the same IQ, but their level of fulfillment, of well-being, of success is different. But they have the same IQ, so what's going on? And even more than that, the people that have high IQs, but they're not very successful, or they don't have good relationship, or they cannot progress at their workplace. And conversely, the people who are not that smart, but they are like managers and have great relationship and great social skills. And in 1995, a book came out by Dr. Daniel Goleman. And the book title was very provocative and revolutionary, 1995, and it's still very provocative and revolutionary even today. The book called Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Whoa. And what he talks about and what the research, almost 30 years of research, proved that what he argued was right, is that emotional intelligence have 2 main components. The first component is inward. which means self-awareness, being aware of my own feelings, and self-management. Not only being aware of my feelings, but know how to manage myself. We can call it cognitive control, which is another way of saying how to delay gratification. And this is such a major skill that all the successful people have it, know how to control their impulses. And we want our kids to have it so much. But guys, it's painful, but we need to model it. We need to model how to control our own emotions. So the first one is inward. The second component is outward, which means empathy, how to recognize and acknowledge other people's emotions, and social skills, which is, of course, goes together, because if you have empathy abilities, people want to be with you, because people want to be acknowledged, people want to be understood, kids want to be acknowledged, and they want to be understood. And here is a short and precise definition of emotional intelligence. So it's the ability to identify, to acknowledge, and to manage our own emotions and the emotions of others. Basically, it's the ability to balance, okay, between reason and feelings. But why should you bother, right? Why should you care? Maybe it's nice to hear or to expand the knowledge, but we can't ignore the data. You can try to ignore the data, but I can't ignore the data, and I don't think neither of us can ignore the data. That in all the research shows that kids who have emotional intelligence, they can concentrate better. They are calmer. They have good grades. So if you're interested in your kids' academic abilities, I think all of us are, right? And it's important, but it's fascinating to understand that the way to help a child succeed academically go through emotions, right? And kids who have high EI, emotional intelligence, they are even more popular. They have good social skills. They can manage themselves, and they study better, basically. And it's our job as parents to help them develop it. I don't count on their teachers. There are some teachers who have high EQ. There are some who don't, but I don't care. It's my job as a parent. And this is why we're here. And it's not just in school, but if you're part of the workplace, if you work, if you read Forbes and other newspapers, you know that now emotional intelligence is such a hot topic, especially during these times. And it's amazing to read that managers and HR professionals, they seek people with high emotional intelligence, not just IQ. And it makes sense, because think about it, like you have an employee, for example, and he's very smart. But during a meeting, someone can say to him, no, that's not true, or I disagree. And then he lose it and he lash out, or he get up and walk out the room because someone disagree with them. So he can be so smart, but it doesn't really matter if people cannot manage themselves. And it's an art and it's a skill. And also, empathy is the most important thing in leaders. And if I had slides, I could show you, but then you can Google later, or I can send you more materials. By the way, I can send you more materials that I cannot send you now. If you want, you can leave me your email. I have some materials that I want to send you later. So you can leave me the email as I speak, and I will copy them later. And it was like so amazing for me to realize that, we have more machines doing the work, and everything is technology-based, but no one can replace empathy. No one can replace social skills. Maybe robots later, but not now. So this is the reason, and I have so many research going through my head about research after research showing that emotional intelligence is what brings people to succeed. Just Jeff Weiner. I don't know if you heard about him. You can Google him later. Thank you. He was the CEO of LinkedIn. Now I think he's the chairman. And during the year that he was CEO, LinkedIn had so many, billions of revenues. And I was fascinated by him. And I heard him, he had a talk at Oprah, and he has many YouTubes. You can search him later, not now. And his managing style called compassionate leadership. I wanted to cry. Compassionate leadership. Do you understand? It's so amazing. And what he said is that he manages people, right? It's people. It's not computers or machines. And if you want to motivate people, you have to understand their fears, their motivation, what keeps them going, what they are afraid of, what are their limitations, what their strengths are. And I wrote about it, and I compared between leaders and parents, because as parents, whether you like it or not, you are leaders. And compassionate leaders is so powerful. And what I love about it is that it's not only, wow, nice and humane, and it's also, it has a bottom line. So much money you can have. But aside from the money, it's how you help people to fulfill their potential. And I'm so interested in how I can help myself and my kids fulfill their potential. How do you help someone fulfill their potential, right? Hint, it's not by saying, you need to fulfill your potential. This is not the way you do it. All right, so what does all this data mean? It means that teaching kids how to recognize their feelings, how to be aware of what they're feeling, how to manage what they are feeling and what other people feelings is not as something that is, nice to have. It's fundamental. Fundamental if we want to raise kids who are successful now and in the future. And by saying successful, I don't mean being rich and being top student. It can also happen, of course. But for me, successful, my definition of success is someone who lives according to his or her terms. It took me a while to understand it. And I can tell you that if, according to my definition, I'm successful because I live on my terms. Not necessarily I have $1 million, all right? And, I don't know, but I wake up in the morning and I fulfill my potential. And it's not easy. It took me many years to realize and to be brave. My coaching business is called Courageous Parenting, and courageous because you need to have courage in order to take the hard decisions and to make hard choices. This is how I met my husband. It took me many years. I'll tell you maybe some other time. And also to change my profession after years of, being in the academia, and to say, no, I need to help parents. It took courage, and I need courage every day, having my own business. So it's very funny, but as parents, we have so many opportunities during the day to develop our own emotional intelligence and our kids' emotional intelligence. And I'll tell you what I mean. Thank you for giving me your email. That's great. I'll send you amazing materials later. For example, It's in the little things that sometimes we overlook, but these are the opportunities that we need to grasp. So, for example, if your kid is losing it because you tell them that it's time to put the screen aside and go to take a shower. Or if your kid comes home and said, Daddy, Mommy, I don't have any friends. No one played with me today. I'm feeling so lonely. Right? Or when your child said that they are afraid that you might die, or they are afraid that he or she might die, or they have nightmares. All these situations of kids sharing their feelings, and by sharing, I mean even tantrums. These are amazing opportunities for developing emotional intelligence. And when I started my business, I was focused and I was obsessed with helping parents to help kids with their tantrums, with meltdowns, with anxieties, with fears, with feelings, basically. And this is what I did, and I taught empathy, I still do. But emotional intelligence, now we have so much research about it, it puts everything into context. All right. Thank you for being here and for writing me your emails. I see everything. I make a pause because now we're gonna go into the really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. And the cool stuff is here. Our computer, our brain. And what I'm about to share with you, I didn't know. I did all these studies and, academia, but no one taught me the really important stuff, like how does this work? And I don't know if you know, I guess you don't. And if you do, so you're very lucky, and it's good to talk about it again and again. The brain. So specifically for our discussion, because we can talk about the brain for so much time, for long. For our discussion, I want to tell you that you don't have one brain. You have 3 brains. All right. So the first brain is the first part of the brain that developed, research say, like 250 million years ago. And this is here. The brain starts developing from down towards, the upper parts. And these parts of the brain are what we called the survival brain, the parts of the brain that are in charge of our life, of our survival. And we don't need to think about it. It's automatic, like breathing, right? You don't need to think about, should I take another breath now or maybe later? No, we do it automatically. And also metabolism and all how our body functions, right? This is automatic. Some call it the lizard brain, or, the primitive brain. It's here. After several million years, the emotional brain developed. And the emotional brain is in charge of emotions, feelings, fear, anger, anxiety. And this is 150 million years old. All right? It's not the end of the story. Later, it took several more million years, the prefrontal lobes have developed. And these are the executive parts, and they are in charge of decision-making, rational thinking, problem solving, creativity, empathy, okay? And these are only 2 or 3 million years old. Like, they're so young, right? And we can think about it in a way that every part says something, right? Says something. So the primitive part, the survival state, is asking, am I safe? The emotional part asks, am I loved? And the executive parts ask, what can I learn from this? Now I have a question for you. Which part do you think, the emotional or the executive parts, is stronger and faster? Emotional. Yeah, I wonder if you say emotional from experience or just logic. Anyway, you're right. All right? The emotional part, listen, is 5 times more fast, 5 times faster and stronger than the executive parts. It makes so much sense, right? And we all been there. We've been in a situation where we feel that the emotional parts are taking over, and actually they do. It's like they hijack. They took control over the thinking parts. And even though you know that you should behave differently because your behavior doesn't make sense, doesn't matter. You're doomed, right? The emotions are so strong. So you lash out, you act impulsively. You might regret it later, but at that point, you cannot do anything else. It's very normal. Now that we know where it comes from, we can feel better about ourselves. This is how we are wired. Okay? Think about road rage, right? I feel it sometimes, like this driver passed me and how dare she, how dare he? And then I tell myself, Ifat, this is so stupid. They are in a hurry. What do you care? You know, so strong. And this is why we can't really think straight when we have strong emotions. If, for example, you feel anxious, you feel fearful, you cannot do your tax report. You just can't, right? You want to, you might even try, but it's stronger than you. So if we understand it and we normalize, I'm all about normalizing behavior because it's all human. It's all normal, right? We feel better. We feel better about ourselves. We don't judge ourselves and we don't judge others because we feel compassionate towards them. They're just people. They're just human beings. All right. And for kids, guys, it's even worse. So for kids, it's similar to the evolutionary process. And when babies are born, you know, kids develop, it's the same as the whole evolutionary system. It starts from the automatic, the survival responses, then the emotional parts, and only then the prefrontal cortex, the executive parts. And I have a question for you. If you give me your email, I'll send you the imagery of a brain. I never saw a brain of a child compared to an adult. And when I saw it, it blew my mind that I said to myself, we need to put this picture of brain imagery every place, like hospitals and schools and kindergarten. And I even made a video about it because I felt that every parent should know it. And I will be happy to share it with you if you give me your email or if you search me online, you might see the video. So I have a question for you. At what age do you think the prefrontal cortex, the executive parts, reach maturity? What age of a person? All right, we have 10, 8, 12. Guys, you're very optimistic. 16. 21. Ooh, you're getting closer. So mid-20s. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about it. And during adolescence years, this is like the most difficult times. And those who have teens know what I'm talking about. And now you understand why. Because their brain is still developing. Here, they look big. They have this voice. Or physically, they look mature. They think they are mature, but they're not. The executive parts, the part that are in charge of reasoning, of understanding cause and effect, of taking full responsibility, are not yet mature. Is this the same for boys and girls? Yes. Yes. Well, some might say until beginning or mid-20s. Maybe for girls it's beginning of 20s. And I heard an interviews with Daniel Goldman, and he was asked about the differences between men and women, boys and girls, and he said that it's maybe in the extremes, but on average we're all the same in terms of our emotions. And the real difference is in the culture, because we raise girls to talk more about emotions and to take and to be caring and compassionate and to take care of other people. And we raise boys differently. We don't raise boys with talking about emotions, and we raise boys with just demanding that they will think logically, stop crying, you're a man, toughen up, he's 3, but doesn't matter, all right? So this is revolutionary, what I'm doing and what I'm teaching. And I have a son, I have a 10-year-old son who is very sensitive, and he's so lucky to have a mother like me who knows emotions, and he gives him full legitimation of emotions. And what the secret is, which is not a secret, but it looks like it. When you give legitimation, when you name the emotion, and I will get to it later, there's no mystery. There's really no drama. Whereas when we tell our kids, you might, please calm down, or stop crying, or if you don't stop crying, I'll do whatever, we make it worse. I wanna encourage you. Well, I'm ahead of my time because I have it later, but I want to encourage you to encourage them to feel. And you're parents, you know how kids are. When you encourage them to feel, it's no longer interesting. Try it at home, please. Try it and write to me. I encourage my kids to cry. For example, if they're upset and they cry, I hold them and I say, let it all out. Cry some more. It's very good. And at one point, my son told me, all right, mommy, I'm fine. I don't need to cry anymore. And I was like, no, don't hold it inside. Take it out. And he was like, mommy, I'm really fine. So, whatever you resist persists. And with emotions, whatever you resist, you're going to get monsters. Because, well, it's not our fault. No one taught us how to manage emotions. This is why we are here. This is why we're talking about it. And when we say, don't think about it, or you're making a big deal, you will get a big deal. You will get monsters. But if you're smart, emotionally smart, intelligent, and if you tell them, it's very normal. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. Respect your feeling. Something amazing happens. All right. Why is it so difficult for so many of us? It was difficult for me until I rewired my brain, because most of us, and I guess you as well, if I'm wrong, tell me, we were raised according to the old belief that I call it reason is the king. All right? And our major goal in life is to think reasonably, to move emotions aside because they're just, in our way of reasoning. This was a mistake. Of course, they didn't know better, our parents, but it was harmful. I'm reading what you wrote, Jonathan. Basically, label the emotion similar to meditation. I'm gonna get to meditation. When you label your thought during meditation, it goes away. So true. And meditation is a very big part of it. And you're ahead of my time as well, because I'm getting to it. But yes, I'm giving you like tips even before the actual tip time. But fine, we're seizing the moment. So I was raised according to the belief that, emotions, it's unpleasant. And well, of course, depending on the emotions. If I'm happy, it's cool. My parents loved it when I was happy. The problem was when I was disappointed, jealous, angry, and I was an angry child. Frustrated, anxious, right? They didn't know what to do with that. And I understood them. Parents want the best for the kids, and they don't know what to do when when the kids behave as human beings, which means being emotional. So the old belief was emotions is for the weak of heart. We all need to strive for the perfect reasoning. That's a mistake. The new belief, and we are so lucky to live in this era that we have so much research and knowledge that we now know that we need both. We cannot ignore reason. We cannot ignore emotions. And the way for living a really good life is the balance between emotions and reason. Okay? So the problem is, of course, that no one taught us this, not at home, not at school. Everyone, demanded that we be just logical and think straight and solve everything. And we were punished when we behaved, when it was tough and we showed emotions like human beings. So the good news is, though, that now we know that the brain keeps developing until we die. Neuroplasticity means that we can wire our brain at any time. This is what I teach parents, basically, how to change habits. I'm reading, Gali, how do you deal with school, though? Yeah. At school, they view display of emotion, crying, as immaturity and inability of the child to manage their emotions. So true. But when kids get the legitimation to feel their feelings, for example, my kids, they know that when they are being disciplined or other kids being disciplined for showing emotion, they can sense that it's wrong, and they can even defend themselves and other kids. This is amazing. And well, part of my job is to train, teachers and to help teachers really manage, because when you don't know these materials, it can be so frustrating. And actually, on Sunday, I have a meeting in Israel. We work on Sunday. I have a meeting with the head of education here in my city, and I am about to propose a program of emotional intelligence. And at some schools, and I know more and more in the United States, they have the social emotional learning. Maybe your school has it. So this is part of the curriculum at some point at some schools, and I hope it will be more widespread. But for now, don't count on schools. Really, don't count on them. And we understood it during these past 2 years that we did homeschooling. But nevertheless, even even if there are schools, we are the ones that need to model it. And it looks like a big, a tough job, but it's actually for us. I use my kids, really. I use my kids for my own development, because if I lose it, and I do sometimes, I lose it intelligently. What does it mean? It means that I'm aware of it, that I can analyze it, and later I can apologize. I can tell my kid, I'm sorry for being nasty. It was because I was hungry. And it's very important for you to know that hunger is anger. Really, when you're hungry, when your kid is hungry, they behave like very, very bad. So before educating, speaking, blah, 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 give them something to eat and run away. All right, just let them eat. When food comes in, it's a different child. All right, so how can we develop emotional intelligence? You mentioned meditation. Well, meditation, all the research will tell you that mindfulness, which is a certain kind of meditation, but basically any kind of meditation, help you with cognitive control. I can tell you from experience, I'm not a very calm person, by my personality. But when I started, and I persist in doing meditation, I calm down. I feel less reactive, and I can understand myself better, and also understand my kids better, of course. And now I want to give you a cool process that you can use from now on, and you can implement it on yourself. First and foremost on yourself. Please, sometimes we are not aware of the gap we have between what we say and how we behave as parents. And our kids, they don't know how to understand this gap. So what they learn from is only from our behavior. So our talking is redundant, really, because if we model the behavior that we want to encourage, we don't need to do much talking. The kids learn from everything we do and say. So here is a cool process. First, awareness. Let's take an example. Let's use an example. So you told your kid to come and they ignored you. You told them again, it's time to take a shower, ignored you again. You feel anger coming. You might feel it in your stomach, in your throat, in your chest. It's very personal. So the first step is being aware. It's a mental talk, and you say, all right, I'm getting angry. The second thing is the reason. Ask yourself, why am I feeling angry? My child doesn't listen to me. All right? We have the reason. We understand why we are feeling like this. Third is the emotion. What is the emotions? The emotion that I'm feeling. Well, I said anger, but I have a whole lecture about anger. And if you want, you can ask Hadar and we can meet again, because anger fascinates me, especially as a parent. I found myself saying things that I hated as a child, and I found myself telling them to my kids, and I said, oh my God, what's going on? And I started researching anger. Just a minute, I'm reading. Would you mind applying this in the example of doing homeschool distance learning with your kids, please? Of course, you can apply it with every situation. It's just, the process that you go through inward and then also outward with other people. But let's say anger. So I'm feeling angry now, but anger, it's a feeling, but it hides pain. Remember, anger always covers for pain. So what is the deeper feeling I might feel humiliated because my kid didn't listen to me. I might feel that I'm unappreciated. Maybe I feel that I'm like, no one cares about what I'm saying. Maybe I feel that I'm being someone disrespects me. And when you go really deep, you get to the feelings that we all had as kids. Not feeling loved, not feeling appreciated, not feeling good enough, not feeling heard. And when you're honest with yourself and you go really deep, you sense that someone might trigger. It's a trigger of your very, very deep emotions. And you lash out, you act with anger, you blame, you shout, but basically it's because you're hurt. And this is a very important understanding. So after you recognize the deep feelings that you feel, it's time to be more practical, still inward practical. What does it mean? Name the feeling. And parents tell me, well, if I name the feeling of my feelings or my kids, doesn't it mean that it will grow? No. Naming the feelings actually doesn't give the feeling more power. It gives you more power because there's no mystery. And I think that like part of the problem is that emotions are such a mystery. Ooh, no, it's not a mystery. It's here and we can give name to them. And when you give name to something, you put it in a box, right? So it might be like, it's humiliation. I feel that I'm not being respected. Interesting. I'm curious about my feelings. All right. And after I name them, I give them legitimation. No one taught us to give legitimation to our feelings. So I'm giving myself the legitimation, and I suggest you do the same. It's good for you. So just give the legitimation for my feelings. I honor myself. All right. I acknowledge what I'm feeling, and it might be like, I'm feeling whatever, right? I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling unappreciated. I'm feeling ashamed, and it's very normal. Yes, Ifat, it's very normal to feel like this, and I guess many people would feel frustrated, would feel unappreciated, even unloved if their kid didn't listen to them. So it's normal. And the last thing I do, in order to honor myself, really to respect myself, I do something practical. I don't mean yelling. This is not what I mean. I mean doing something practical to honor my feelings. It can be going to a different room and breathe. It might be drinking something. It might be eating something because maybe I'm hungry and I'm not really aware that I'm hungry. It means just pausing and respect what I'm feeling in the deeper levels. And then after I did all the process, I can decide for myself how I'm going to act. But it's not going to be out of impulse. It's going to be out of the process of being aware and manage myself. And you can do it with your kids as well. So, Brie, you said, you talked about doing homeschool. So, for example, if your kid, you're trying to help them with their homework, but they're all over the place or they're cry. So you're aware of what's going on, right? And then what's the reason? The reason is that they might not want to learn, and they might not want to learn with you, right? Because as my kid told me, when I'm learning with you, you become someone else. You're very serious, mom. You're very strict. And kids, they don't want us to be strict and serious. This is why we send them to school, because when we do homework with them, something not so good comes out of us unless we do the work, unless we're really aware of what's going on and we can be transparent about it. Transparency is very important. I'm all for transparency about my feelings. So I might say to my child, darling, I'm feeling anxious now. It's not a good time for me to help you with your homework. All right? I'm doing it, really. So I honor my feelings. I go to drink, I go to eat, I'm taking a nap. It's very important for me. And then I'm a different person. So if your kid displays some emotions, it might be like you are aware of it, you understand why, you understand the feeling, and then the empathy comes in. And what I teach parents, and you can try with me, is this. My agenda is less is more. Less is more. We work so hard as parents, and I want to work less. So I want to work smart, which means just being empathic and also saying, I see that you're anxious. I see that you are frustrated. All right? In order to do it, I need to be calm. You cannot give empathy if you are highly emotional, right? So this is why it's so important to start with us. And then I give legitimation. I understand it. It's very normal to feel frustrated, to feel jealous. You're very normal. All right? And you can invite the feeling. I did it with my son. He felt afraid before he went to bed. And he said, Mom, I'm afraid of nightmares. And, of course, I gave him empathy. I said, it's very normal. But then I raised the bar. And I told him, let's invite fear. Let's feel the fear. And he said, Mommy, I'm afraid. I said, that's good. I'm here with you. Give me your hand. Let's be afraid together. And we closed our eyes and I told him, do you feel the fear? I felt the fear. Do you feel fear? And you know how kids are? After 20 seconds, he said, all right, Mommy, thank you. Good night. So invite the feeling. And when you do it, when you are really, you're not mad at the feeling, but you feel that it's normal, things change. Try it at home. Don't believe me, just watch how things change. I want to conclude by a quote that I love by Dr. Mark Brackett, who is the founder of the Emotional Intelligence Center at Yale University. I wish we're going to have one in Israel too. He said, emotional skills are the missing link in charge of children's ability to be successful adults. And as a parent and as someone who doing all this emotional work, I think that's true. I think that in today's world, when like kids have everything, right? They're very spoiled and all this. What we are missing is the emotional talk, because we don't know how to do it ourselves. But when we sense and give legitimation to our kids' feelings, we have less drama. Believe me, I'm talking out of experience. Less drama. You're not afraid of the next tantrum because you know you can handle it. And how you can handle it? Like this, or with hug, not with being mad at the kid for having a tantrum. So I respect your time, and I want to ask you something. Taking into account the time that we had, I want to know if you got some value out of this session. And specifically, I want to ask you what you're going to take from this session and implement. Because we talked about so many things, but what really resonated with you or really hit a point that you wanna pursue, you wanna learn, you wanna try. And thank you for all this great feedback. And also you can write me your emails so I can get in touch with you and send you cool materials. I'm just making sure I have all your emails so I won't miss anyone. Also, of course, you can see me every place. I'm on, except Twitter, I'm every place. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. I have a website, I have courses, digital courses. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. But really, what are you going to take from this session? And it's not for me. Research shows that when you write something or when you're more engaged, there are more chances that you're going to do it. That's fine, Brie. And also, of course, feel free to ask me any question that you want. I'm here. Even though we are it's more than an hour. I don't know if it's fine if you want to stay more and ask questions. Hadar, if it's fine, or we can meet another time. 10 minutes to finish, that's good. So please feel free to share and also to ask. But again, it's for you. It's for you. If you share, it's for you. And Adar, we might need to have another session about anger. This is a new lecture I have about anger. Anger is really amazing. Experience the fear at night with my son. Can you elaborate? My favorite topic. All right. So kids, many of them have fears before bedtime. It's because of the dark or because they just want more attention. Everything is fine. Everything is normal. So what I suggest parents to do is, thanks, Adar. Yeah, much needed. What I suggest parents do, the first thing is to give empathy. How does it look like? And if we were like, we could communicate, we could do role playing, which I love doing role play with parents. It looks something like, Daddy, I'm afraid. And then instead of saying, don't think about it, or there's nothing to be afraid, or all the things that are not helpful, you say things like, I understand you. Yeah, we're all afraid sometimes. And he might ask, or he, because you said my son, are you afraid now? And you can answer whatever you want. When my son asked me, I said, now, no, but maybe later. I know fear. Fear is so normal. And it's very normal to feel like this. And you can ask, do you want to tell me, what are you afraid of? Just have a conversation. I love asking kids questions, really. Instead of just telling them, I love asking them, because sometimes I think I know what they're gonna say, but when I really ask and listen, there's so many surprises. They see the world so differently, and remember why? Their brain, it's not yet fully developed. So I said this is the one part is being empathic to the feeling. The second part is for the courageous parents. It's inviting the feeling, all right? So you can sit next to your son and tell him, let's be afraid together. Let's invite fear. Fear wants to tell us something. Every emotion has a message. There isn't anything that is redundant or just unnecessary. Our feelings, they are signs. They want to tell us something. First, they want to tell us that we're normal, right? Let's say if your son doesn't feel feelings, I might be worried. So kids expressing feelings, tantrums, strong emotions, really, research shows that kids who express strong emotions, it is a sign of a healthy development, really. And I came across the research just recently. I wish I knew it when my kids had tantrums. So now I can share it with you. It's a healthy development. And we gave birth to human beings, not robots, right? So why are we so surprised when they have feelings? So the second thing for the courageous parents is to invite the feeling, to say, hi, fear, come. I'm here for you. I can cope with you. You have something to tell me. All right? So feel it. You can be quiet at that point and just feel the feeling and ask your son, do you feel it? And then something will happen. And you tell me. I can tell you that I did it like a few years ago, I don't know, 2 years ago with my son. And then I didn't hear any, Mommy, I'm afraid, I have nightmares. So I'm such a mean parent. A few months ago, I went to his room before he went to bed and I told him, darling, what about nightmares? There have been so long that you didn't tell me that you're afraid. Or he said, Mommy, stop it. And I said, oh, right, I'm kidding. But when you really are not afraid of feelings and you show it to your child, wow, you get such, resilient kids who are not afraid of dealing with life and with their emotions and in relationship, and you give them a gift. Basically, it's a gift. I hope I answered your question. And if you have more questions, feel free to ask me. I'm here whenever you want. And you said 10 minutes, so all right, I think our time has ended. And thank you. It was a challenge for me to speak without showing you slides, but this is so interesting and so profound that I don't care how I present this material. Every parent should know it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, fathers. I'm so appreciative of you that you're here, and also mothers, of course. Have a great day or evening, depends on wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.